Why the US should immediately implement the Green New Deal. So, what is climate change? Climate change is one of the greatest threats to this generation and our future generations. Climate change is not a new idea. The Earth has historically gone through drastic climate and atmospheric changes during its 4.5 billion years of existence. It has caused mass extinctions and changed many of the prior ecosystems that inhabited this Earth before humans. The reason this change in climate is causing so much distress is that humans are the ones committing most of the damage and are aware of the consequences it holds. These human emissions are occurring at the same time the Earth is actively experiencing a natural carbon cycle. In 2019, humans alone emitted around 35 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, more than any other natural geological process. Most of this carbon is not actually from human activities, but from large-scale processes such as burning fossil fuels and building materials. The Green New Deal is a proposition posed by Democratic policymakers that call for immediate action against the threats of climate change. Green New Deal proposals have changed over time, so there is no specific policy. Instead, it is used to describe a number of ideas that attempt to tackle climate change and inequality in the United States. The Green New Deal is based on creating solutions to the following issues: carbon emissions, power use, agriculture, infrastructure, jobs, welfare, and social justice. Why the Green New Deal needs to be implemented. Immediate action needs to be taken regarding the rising threat of irreversible damage of climate change caused by carbon emissions. According to the latest IPCC report, current plans addressing climate change are not sufficient enough to keep the atmosphere from rising above 1.5 degrees Celsius pre-industrial levels. The Green New Deal seeks to transition the US to 100% renewable and carbon neutral over a 10-year span. The IPCC report states there needs to be an accelerated transition to global clean energy and net zero emissions, and the US ranks number 2 in the world for carbon emissions. The major argument against the GND is the potential cost to convert the current energy sector into all renewable resources. Strong right-leaning politicians, including Donald Trump himself, have thrown numbers around such as 100 trillion without even understanding the proposal itself. The GND proposal is still loosely defined with no definitive price tag that has been estimated. The only current estimation is from Bernie Sanders' GND proposal, which states that $16 trillion bill will pay for itself over the course of 15 years through the creation of 20 million new jobs and by eliminating fossil fuel subsidies. What can be estimated is the cost per year that America spends on pollution. So how much does the US spend? According to the National Resource Defense Council, they reported that around 820 billion is spent per year in the US on air pollution. That's roughly 2,500 per person in America. Fortunately, this number has been on the steady decline over the last few years as efforts have been made to reduce our carbon footprint. However, it's still a substantial price that Americans are dealing with. Committing to the GND will cut out this yearly purchase. One section that seems to divert many people away from the GND is the social equality section. How does social and wealth inequality correlate to climate change and carbon emission? First, a recent study found that the correlation between economic inequality and carbon dioxide emissions from consumption was found to be positive. The richest 1% of the population annually emit 20% more than the average citizen in America. Poor household emissions are disproportionately higher than middle-class citizens because they are unable to afford energy-efficient upgrades. The GND will directly support low-income communities by a number of factors, including 100% renewable energy, natural disaster protection against natural disasters from climate change, and production of thermally efficient buildings. Low-income communities are situated closer to the path that severe storms might travel. In conclusion, the GND is certainly a radical proposal, but this sort of action is needed to combat this ongoing climate crisis. Every day we spend pushing off these proposals, we are committing to self-inflicted wounds on our current generation and future generations. The climate keeps getting warmer, and wealth inequality keeps growing in America. With no current plans to fix these issues, the best policies we currently have for these issues act as a band-aid. Our politicians continue to pass bills and policies that just replace the bandage instead of actually fixing the issue. If we want a clean and healthy environment for our future, action is needed now.